Above Ground, which is an anthology of short stories written by 19 different writers around the world. And this short story, and actually Charlie will be reading some excerpts from his work in this book. This is published by Harvard Square Editions, also one of our partners. And the proceeds to this book are going directly to charity. As a matter of fact, one of the charities is the Nobel Peace Prize winning charity Doctors Without Borders.
I wanted to thank Jerry Bryant and Mia Riverton and Harvardwood for providing this opportunity to launch, quite literally, this new press. This is not only an anthology, but it's the inaugural anthology of what we hope will be a number of volumes of short stories.
Above Ground is a special book. In this anthology of living fiction, you'll find a first-hand account from the streets of the Romanian Revolution, another by an alum in Brazil, one in Spain, somebody at Brussels at NATO, one in Hollywood, Charles Diegelman, a writer from Los Angeles, who was the finalist in the Bellwether competition sponsored by Barbara Kingsolver. The authors are holding book talks like this all over the world.
We're scattered all over the globe, and someday I'm sure I am going to meet my colleagues. For the time being, I'd like to read about growing up absurd in the 1950s and 60s. This is called The Crash. One spring, Gus and his father built a soapbox racer. Now, this was no jalopy. This was a bona fide racing machine constructed according to official specifications for the National Soapbox Derby held each year in Akron, Ohio. Gus's entry sported regulation wheels and an innovative brake system specially designed by his old man. Although he enjoyed building this racer with his father, Gus could sense that his old man had something to prove. Years earlier, Gus's mother had grown tired of living with workers in the projects of Jamaica Plain, an ancient Boston neighborhood. She wanted a front porch and her own mailbox. As it turned out, an old buddy from Gus's father's maritime past was bulldozing 40 acres of New England woods to build an electronics factory 30 miles to the northwest of Boston. His buddy assured Gus's old man that there would be a job waiting for him once the factory was built. Gus's old man was not a typical dad, a self-taught electrical engineer, a gyro gear loose, an inventor. He had joined the Communist Party in the 1930s when it seemed that socialism might transform the world from a depressed capitalist nightmare into an egalitarian paradise. Back in Boston, most of his friends were intellectuals and working-class stiffs who shared the same socialist dream. When Gus's family moved to Warrington, the FBI called ahead. They wanted the citizens of Warrington to know that a family of communists had infiltrated the township.
And in my travels in the Mediterranean, I longed to encounter women who stood up for themselves and didn't accept such a low place in society. So I got to thinking, what if I wrote about women who were outraged and stood up for each other? Maybe it would happen. With that, I'll read a slice from my novel called Traveling Light. A dark liquid curled in the water. Farouk didn't seem to see the form floating beneath the surface, tail disappearing in the depths of the pool. The conversation bubbled around him, at the window as the ambulance arrived. What was wrong with Farouk? He did not seem to hear the other guests around him surmising about the blonde waif's nationality. Russian? Moldavian? Her arms spread out to the sides, her green scarf twisted in the water like a piece of seaweed. The long silver train of her dress undulated like a fishtail. That silver dress, it was the girl from the street. I pushed my way over to the window next to Farouk and pressed my face to the glass. He woke from his reverie as soon as he saw me and turned and walked away. I was shocked at his reaction. How could he dislike me so much? We'd only just met. Languages rang in my ears. No one admitted to knowing the waif, but they said her name was Grushenka, age 19. Of course the circumstances are suspicious, Niobe echoed. What do you think? A reporter asked. Niobe's voice raised an octave. She was fully clothed. Obviously she's not going for a swim for the first time. This was a premeditated crime, but watch how the tribunal will handle it, the criminals. A reporter scribbled greedily on his pad. Someone should have shut Niobe up for her own sake.
Thank you. I'll be reading a few excerpts from a short work of fiction entitled La Criada's Guide to Stain Removal. I never expected to be una criada. How do they call it here? A cleaning lady. In school we learned the English word was maid, but nobody ever calls me that. Maybe they think maid is rude. I do not know why. They call me a cleaning lady, which I guess is better, or sometimes they call me a house cleaner to leave the gender out. My career change was not without warning. My mother was also una criada. She worked 6 days a week, never on a Sunday. And when she was not cleaning another family's house, she was cleaning ours. The woman never stopped. There was no mess she could not clean up. That's what my father, so proud of his woman, would always say. No hay una mancha que no pueda limpiar. After spending my adolescence watching her, memorizing and internalizing her methods, I came to think the same of myself. Moving here was not my idea. Texas, for all I knew, was its own country, one I could not locate on a map. We came for the university, but Ricardo told me that it would be permanent. I expected to return to Buenos Aires after he completed his postdoc in any event, but things do not always happen like you imagine. That was 28 years ago. Now my husband is director of the Department of Physics. He works with superconductors and other very loud machines. I work with loud machines too, but nobody stands up or straight or tucks in their shirt when I walk past.
Intellect, like a tapeworm, was beginning to eat away at me from the inside. The only things that made me feel fully human were my cat and the insistence of my thwarted desire for a woman to share my bed. The next time came a week or 10 days later, and again when she entered it was as if a pulsing sign had lit up over the bar that read sex. Again a man tried to talk to her and failed. What the hell is this? I said to my friends. She never talks to anybody except the bartender. Why does she do this? It's a psychology experiment, Jay said. She has an assistant who takes notes. Either that or she just does it to make her balls hurt. No, I'm serious. What does she want out of this? You have to ask? If she wanted to get laid, all she'd have to do is look at somebody for once. Maybe she's a he, said Sheldon. What? Said Jay. Maybe that's why she never does anything but sit there. She's a drag queen. She's a guy. She just wants to see if she can pass. She can pass, said Jay. I'm giving her an A+ right now. Hey, it makes some kind of sense. I'm telling you she's not. Look at her ankles. Look at her feet. She's not a man. But what does she want? I said. I thought if you had come in naked, the invitation to imagine having sex with you would not have been more blatant. It would have been less so. Your nakedness would have been an invitation, and yet it would have revealed your helpless humanity, vulnerable and in need of care. My care, I wanted to think.